What's going to be the win total for Ohio State when they finish up their final game of the season hosting Michigan? That'll be a juicy one. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this segment. But the over-under win total right now is at 10.5 for Ryan Day and co. Ohio State fans, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, because I'll tell you what, man, this is a massive, massive year. You already knew that if you're in Columbus or if you're an Ohio State fan, period. This is the time now where this team goes out and accomplishes everything they want to accomplish. That is what this year is all about. So if you want to make sure you're as dialed in as possible, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, and we appreciate you so much in advance for doing that. Ryan Day and this entire staff have done the equivalent of packing this suitcase that is this roster to the absolute brim. Why? You never know what you're going to need with where they're going. Better to have it and not need it. Hell, we probably would have been okay for Ryan Day sticking with Kyle McCord for another year and just kind of seeing if we can get a better game plan for him, seeing if we can progress him along a little bit more in our system. Nope, sorry, can't guarantee you the job. We're going out and getting a portal quarterback. It's Will Howard. You got Travion Henderson, one of the best backs in college football when he's healthy, I believe. I mean, we've seen the tape. I mean, that speaks for itself. 1,000-yard back when he's rolling. You go get another back to go with him in Quinshon Judkins. All right, we got the run game down. If we need that, we got the run game. They recruit at the creme de la creme when it comes to recruiting the receiver position. The defense is great, right? Don't need anything else on defense. Caleb Downs, best player in the whole freaking portal. Safety from Bama. You're coming with us. Like, everything that you could possibly need is on this roster. They have packed for success. How much of it will they need? Did they need Caleb Downs to get him over the hump? I don't know. Ryan Day doesn't know. But guess what? They got him if they need him. It's packed in the suitcase in case you need it. I think the interesting thing with Ohio State, the feel for them as a team, I believe, will be a lot more gritty, be a lot more tough. Like, I think you got a coordinator in Chip Kelly who wants to run the football. I just told you got another back in Quinshon Judkins to give you one of the best backfields in America. You got Will Howard, who's going to lower his shoulder on a safety if you give him the opportunity to. You can call some design quarterback runs with him. Defense is stacked. Like, this will be the grittiest Ohio State team, I believe, we've ever seen. So what happens game by game for them? We'll talk about that, but I want to make sure we revisit this before we get to this game-by-game breakdown. Looking at this roster and looking at what Ryan Day has done there, regardless of the game against Michigan this upcoming season, I think we need to just lay to rest the born on third base discussion. You say, well, JD, they were beating Michigan before. I mean, they're not beating Michigan now. Like, isn't that kind of a little bit of a tell for us around Ryan Day and Ohio State and what he's done there? What he's done there, from what I can tell, is continue to push the envelope and try to make his own Ohio State team, right? Like, the born on third base thing makes no sense to me, because in that discussion, you're giving a ton of credit to Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer hasn't coached there since 2018. Why is he getting credit for what Ohio State was under Ryan Day, what they haven't accomplished under Ryan Day? Doesn't make any sense to me. I think Ryan Day now has put together a roster that is as good as any in college football, and they have a chance to go win the whole freaking thing, if we're going to be honest. So the game-by-game prediction here, I kind of split their schedule up in my mind into it's like a race plan. Like, the first few games here, you got to rev the engine. Akron, W. Western Michigan, W. Marshall, W. At Michigan State, good chance to kind of finish through with a bang there for that first part of the schedule. It should be a win. Do not wait to hit the high gear. I think last year it felt like we didn't really see Ohio State stretch their legs a whole lot. Like, we're trying to figure out who's playing quarterback, and maybe that's part of it. But, like, Ohio State needs to get everything firing against the teams where they can afford to maybe have some miscues if it doesn't fire correctly, and then revisit that, revamp that, and get things rolling. Like, I need to see Ohio State look like a top 2 team in the country against those teams those first few weeks. And then the next phase to me is like you got some work sets here. Like, whenever you're working out, once you get warmed up, then you go to the heavier weight. You're not going till failure, but you are starting to move some real weight. So Iowa, great chance to to get a work set in there. Great resistance. It has trap game written all over it, so you kind of test the emotional side as well. I think you win that game. At Oregon now, I've told y'all many times, that game could go any way possible. Like, it's at Oregon. If it was in Columbus, I might feel differently. Today in August, I'm going to say you lose that game because personally, I feel better about Dylan Gabriel right now than I do Will Howard. That could change when we pick that game, but I'll go ahead and pick Oregon to win that game. Nebraska the week after, very trappy. Very, very trappy. Or not the week after, the game after, rather. Very trappy. Ohio State, superior roster, should win that football game. That's a win. Now, at Penn State, let's just say this goes how I've predicted it to go. Let's say you drop that game against Oregon. Let's say Nebraska at times kind of gives you a couple of things on tape where you're like, man, we're better than that. We should clean that up. Still win the football game, but you're like, man, I would like to see us be a little bit more efficient, a little bit cleaner there. At Penn State, this is your flex game. Like, this is the last set of the work sets, in my opinion, and you put up big weight here. You show that you are the big dog that is Ohio State. I think you win that game. I think you send a message to the rest of the college football world heading into your last 4 games of the season, like, all right, you got to deal with us. Say what you want about the Oregon game. Say what you want about what you haven't seen from us just yet in the season. Like, we are all that, and then some. The Penn State game will be a great chance to do that. Good resistance from a roster perspective. You're on the road. I think they win that football game. Get a win over Purdue. Get a win over Northwestern. Get a win over Indiana. That is the stride phase. Let's keep it clean, light on our feet, be healthy, get some things in the chamber for Michigan, and that final game against Michigan is redemption mode. I told you Ohio State, the grittiest operation we've seen from them in Columbus since Ryan Day has been there. Maybe before that, I don't know. They have built to this. They have built to this. They have built their roster to this. They have been, let's just call a spade here, bullied by Michigan 2 of the last 3 years. I think last year they put up a really solid fight, and I don't think you'd say they were bullied last year, but it is what it is. This is the game where they turn the tide. You put some respect on Ryan Day's name, and Ohio State just puts a sword through the chest of all their demons squarely on Ohio State's field in the shoe, and they make a statement. They finish the year with a win there, and they finish with a record of 11-1. So Ohio State more than likely locks up a spot in the Big Ten title game, and definitely should lock up a spot in the college football playoff as well. So Ohio State take the over on the wins, put them at 11-1, and depending on how they look that last stretch of the season, if they can find their rhythm, this roster has everything they need to be able to win a national championship. A lot falls on Will Howard. I'm not making any negotiations with that, but they have the roster here to go win the whole freaking thing. They know that, you know that, we know that, and that's a big reason why we have Ohio State at 11-1. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.